Hey friends, good to see you in the kitchen. I'm so excited. We're going to be doing another baking project. But some of you are probably wondering, are you all about sourdough now? Do you not use yeast anymore? Absolutely not. I use plenty of yeast. And today we're going to be making a yeasted recipe, but you see I've got the mill out. So yes, we're going to be using yeast, but we're also going to be using fresh milled flour. So the first thing I want to do is kind of give my yeast a little bit of a jump start. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, my name's Angela. I'm the Inquisitive Farm Wife, and I'm happy and elated to have you here with me. You never know what I'm going to be doing, but right now I've been on a baking journey, and it's been so much fun because I'm giving away a Bosch mixer and a Nutri-Mill grain, impact grain mill. This is going to be happening. When this video goes out, it'll be happening tomorrow night. So make sure you are there on my channel at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you will see who the winner is. We're going to have a lot of great conversation. We're going to be live. You can ask questions. It's going to be an awesome time. Now, if you have not had the opportunity to see the other videos, if this is your first video, go back, marathon run, watch all my videos, and make sure you're leaving nice heartfelt comments. You know, the ones that the computer will know you actually watched my video. Those kind of comments are the ones that you need to be making, because that's how I'm going to be drawing a winner, is from one of those wonderful comments that you guys all make. And as a very much, I would appreciate from all of you, if a favor that you could do for me is to share me out. I would love to get out there a little bit more and share some of my content, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, YouTube. Share my video, share my content, just get the word out there, because we've got one more day where people will have an opportunity, because I'm going to have 2 winners. Okay, into the video. We are going to be working with, you remember the other day, I went and bought some Einkorn. Well, I've never worked with it before, and I've also never made crescent rolls. Not to be confused with croissant rolls, but crescent rolls. They're actually 2 different things. It's the way you layer the butter to get the flaky pastry. That's a croissant. But a crescent is a regular dough. There is butter involved. And then, well, let's just do it, okay? All right, so I got this recipe off of, let's see, I think it's einkorn.com or something like that. So anyway, we're going to try this new recipe together. And it says the first thing I want to do is have warm milk. They want you to do it on the stovetop, but I just microwaved this. It's 1 1/4 cups, and I microwaved it for, I believe it was like 1.5 minutes. You just want to make sure it's about this temperature that, you know, you would make a bottle, like on your wrist or a baby's bath. You want it to be under about 110 to, no, definitely not 115 degrees, because you'll kill your yeast. So they want you to have the milk, and then your yeast and your sugar. Okay, so I need 1/4 cup of sugar, and I'm just going to grab it from my bulk bin down here. We'll add that to my mixer, and then 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. So if you didn't know, 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. So basically what I need is 1 tablespoon, and then 1.5 teaspoons. And then I'm going to just give this a quick little stir, just to kind of make sure that the yeast goes down into the milk so that it can start absorbing. And I'm going to let this set and kind of get frothy, make sure my yeast is good and happy. And while we wait for that to happen, we'll go ahead and mill some of this einkorn flour. So let me give you a close-up of what it looks like. Einkorn is actually just wheat. It is ancient wheat. We talked a little bit about soft white and hard white wheat in, I believe, the last video. And einkorn is one of those, and I can actually almost feel the moisture. It is you would cook with it the same you would with a soft white wheat. So I'm going to follow the measurements exactly. I'm a little bit nervous. I may do a little cheating, but I'm going to go ahead and take some of this and put into my mill. So typically a soft white wheat is going to work best for cookies and things. It's not necessarily for breads, but when have you known me not to push the limits, right? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go on a great adventure of bread making, of several new things for the very first time. I have never used einkorn. I have never made crescent rolls. And so this will be fun. This is super fun for me. And I'm just going to turn this on. I'm sure I'm going to want a fine flour. So I'm going to turn this up and I'll be back when it's milled. Went ahead, I sifted with a very fine sieve and got all the, well, actually in the germ and the bran is a lot of nutrition. So we're kind of getting rid of a lot of the nutrition. So I will keep this because it can be used in other recipes, but that is one of the things that can hinder gluten development, which a lot of people use einkorn on low gluten recipes. But today we're wanting to make a fluffy roll. So I'm doing everything I can to kind of help with that gluten development. And one of those things is to remove the germ and the bran. And so I did that. Another thing that I'm going to do, because I have it on hand, is I'm going to grab some Vital Wheat gluten. And this is going to kind of be like instant gluten, right? Okay, so I'm going to use, I believe it's like, I don't know, a teaspoon to a tablespoon per cup. And I have 3 cups of the einkorn. My recipe calls for 4 cups. And another cheater's trick is to go ahead and use bread flour. Typically, I would use the opposite ratio. I would use 3 parts bread flour to 1 part of a different flour. But because this particular recipe is actually made for einkorn flour, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use it, and I'm going to do it like that. But it does not say it was for fresh milled. And many times you will use, many times you'll use more of the fresh milled than you would a store-bought flour. So I need to add 1 cup, but I'm actually going to add about 1.5 cups of the bread flour. Let me show you what this yeast is looking like. I'll bring you in here. See how fluffy it is and foamy. So that tells us our yeast is active and it's ready. So let's go ahead and feed it by giving it the flour. Okay, so the directions say to go ahead and add the egg, which I'm going to be really careful not to get the shell in there because I forgot to bring a little bowl. Okay. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. You know me, I like the pink Himalayan sea salt. So that's what we'll be using today. So there's 1/2 teaspoon and the full teaspoon. And then we need to add 2 cups of our flour. So I'm going to dig down deep because it wants the einkorn flour. So this is 1/4 cup. So I need 8 of these. So basically that's about half of the flour. Okay, so now it says to turn it to low speed. All right, so let me show you what that looks like. And then we're going to start adding the flour 1/4 cup at a time until the dough starts pulling away from the sides of the mixing bowl. And you can see the sides have now cleaned. So now I'm going to turn this up and I'm going to let it knead for, well, typically I would do 2 minutes, but I'm going to do at least 4 minutes of this mixing and kneading to try to help with that gluten development. Okay, so I want to go ahead, there's like some flour on the top of this, and underneath here we've got a little bit of dough. It's starting to really come together really nice, and we're at about the 1 to 2 minute mark, but I feel like I need to get some of this off. Let's see here. We need to kind of get some of this off the bottom and make sure that it's going to actually incorporate in there, you know, some of the flour that was on top of the blade and everything. So this just kind of helping it along because it's a small batch. It's just a single batch. Okay, I messed up big time. I misunderstood those directions. So we were only supposed to put half of the flour in, knead it, let it rise for 30 minutes, and then knead it again. So, and then add more flour and then knead it again. So I messed up big time. So I'm not sure that this is going to turn out because I thought it was saying put the 2 cups in and then at 1/4 of a cup at a time. And I knew I had read this, but I was like, oh, okay, maybe I was looking at too many recipes. Do you ever do that? You look at too many recipes at once? Okay, so that's what I did. So, this is probably a good time where I actually could double the recipe. Although, let me show you the dough. It's very sticky, but it is quite elastic. I mean, I'm not quite getting window pane or anything. Well, pretty close. So I almost think I could. I almost think that the Bosch did such a good job kneading it that I might even be able to skip that step and not double it. So now I need to rethink my steps here. I don't think these are very good directions, to be truthful. I really, really don't. So I'm just going to throw this recipe away. It's gone now. Because then it's telling me I should have 1/4 of a cup left. And I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense to me at all. So I'm going to go back to the basics of what I know for making bread. And if it flops, it flops. And we'll try again another day. But I promised you a video today. So it's going to be, we're going to do something. So if we go back to my way of making bread, I am going to go ahead, generously spray this. I'm going to get this off because I like to wash this up before the dough gets hardened on. So with my nice, good, clean hands, we're going to clean this off. And I'm going to, instead of kneading it again with the mixer and all that stuff, we're just going to punch it down like you would a cinnamon roll. And then we can do stretch and folds and things like that. But I've already added the flour for this amount. So we're going to go with it. We're just going to go with it, and we're going to do our own thing. We're going to go rogue. Don't we always? See, I just got to get in here and use my hands with this. Okay, so see, it's really a nice dough, and it's a little sticky, but I have found that sticky doughs are delicious breads. I don't care what kind you're making. That's what I have found. So I'm going to leave this. We have done enough to this for now. So I'm going to go ahead and spray the top of it. Spray the pan again. Make sure everything is nice and sprayed. And then I'm going to cover this. It doesn't have to be tightly. Just loosely cover. And I'm going to let that set probably 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and we're going to do some stretch and folds and things. And then I might do that a couple times. We'll just see how it's looking like it's doing. But that, by adding that vital wheat gluten. I'll try to remember to put a thing for you down below so that you can find it faster, but it really surprised me on how that was mixing up. It has been maybe 45 minutes and our dough has started to rise. I would definitely not say it has doubled. So, oh, but it's definitely fluffy and good. And I had planned on doing coil rolls, but honestly, I think I'll just do stretch and folds because I think that's all it's really going to need. It's not really very stretchy, so I really don't even know that this was necessary. But I felt like since those directions that, you know, we didn't follow were saying to knead again, I feel like we should do something. But that's probably because it needed to develop the gluten, and we added that vital wheat gluten. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing we did before. Just got olive oil this time. Okay, that's very tight. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. And I don't know. Might be an hour before I get back to this. And it should definitely have a chance to rise again by then. And then we'll see about baking these. I am back. I've kind of recomposed myself and figured out the situation. Okay, I think we have done just fine according to what we needed to do. Our dough has doubled. It looks beautiful. It's fluffy. I'm excited. I'm really excited about this next step. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide this dough in half. Oh, look at that bubble. It was gorgeous. And I'll leave half of it in here. And the other half, I'm just going to lightly flour our surface. I don't know that it really even needs it. Oh my gosh, this is exciting. I've got a roller. And I am just going to roll out to the best of my ability a circle, as if I was going to make a pie crust. So think about maybe that size. And you just kind of push and turn and push and turn until you get the desired thickness that you want, right? In the desired shape. And what we want is a circle. I think that's about all the flexibility that this dough has. Okay, so you cut it like a pizza into 8 pieces. So one way and one way make 4 pieces. And then we just go right through the middle of those, getting our 8 pieces. The directions had also said to melt basically a half a stick, 1/4 of a cup of butter. But I decided I had left this out at room temperature, and I have decided that I don't even think I need to use a pastry. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to cut this into pieces, so we save half of it for the other. So then I'll cut little squares here so I know, and I'm just going to put a little bit on each one, and I'm going to spread it out. And I just think that that'll work better, honestly. But if you want to melt it and spread it on that way, you certainly can. But, you know, like when you make cinnamon rolls, I've done the melted and I've done it with the soft butter. And I honestly like soft butter better. So there we go. And then I'm just going to, you can take an offset spatula. You could take your pastry brush, whatever. I'm just going to use this small spatula and I'm going to spread it. And that's going to give me an opportunity also to kind of stretch out this triangle a little bit as I spread it. because I want a nice long triangle if I can. All you do is start at the big end here, and then you start rolling this until you have your crescent. And here it is. So they suggested using a grease sheet. I prefer parchment. And oh, actually, to get your actual crescent, what you would need to do is kind of curve this a little bit, and that'll give you your crescent shape if you want. You can actually stretch this out even wider, stretch this even longer. When you go to roll, it'll make it a little bit easier. You could even try to touch these together if you want. And 8 of them, the recipe said 8 to 10 will fit on your sheet, but we're dividing it in half. I would just do 8 per sheet. I thought I would go ahead and bring you along. I was able to roll this one out. I didn't do the moving, and I just kind of rolled it out. It's not exactly a circle, but I think it's going to be a little bit easier to do it this way. So I thought, you know what, I'll bring you along and show you. So I took the other half of the butter, and I'm just going to spread it out all over like you would, you know, a cinnamon roll again. Now remember, these are crescent rolls, not croissants, because I only have the one layer of the butter. A crescent is just a simple dough that has one layer of butter like this that's rolled in it as you shape it into a crescent. But a croissant actually will have layer upon layer of dough, butter, dough, butter, dough, butter. And I hope to learn to make those. And if that's something that you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments below, because it's definitely something I'm going to be doing. And I do not mind turning on the camera and bringing you along with me as I do it. Okay, so I was able to get a bigger crescent this time. So this will be kind of neat to see how this rolls up. Oh yes, I think this will end up much better. So the other was so thick, it almost seemed. And see, it goes into that crescent shape a lot nicer too. So I just didn't quite get it thin enough. But you know what? That is how we learn, is to just do an experiment. And I'm glad I brought you along and showed you how I realized that and adjusted it a different way. And that's one of the things I think that some of you anyway have made comment that you enjoy about my channel, is that I'm not afraid to take you along with me on a new recipe or to try a new technique, and we can, you know, together learn how to work through. Like, you guys love how I can adjust my plan according to what happens, whatever's going on in the kitchen that day or life or whatever, and then just continue that same process until you have all of 16 of them made. These are definitely thicker and these are thinner. Can you see the difference? Okay, so once you've got your crescents made, you'll want to cover them. I prefer plastic wrap, just kind of loosely, and you can use a towel if you want. A wet towel will keep moisture in. Whatever your preferred choice is. I just like to gently lay some plastic on here. And we're going to set this aside on the counter for like 30, probably close to an hour, because I'm going to go to the field and back and things. And it took me about an hour. So probably about an hour. And we're going to let these rise again. And then we'll come back and bake them. So before I leave, I need to turn the oven on to 350 degrees to get it to preheating while these are rising. The sun's kind of shining in a little weird on that, but I wanted to share with you that, like, if I wanted to save these for Thanksgiving, which actually I'm kind of thinking about doing now that I'm looking at this, I think I will. I think I'm going to put a dozen of these to save back for our Thanksgiving dinner. And then I'm going to put like 4 of them on a tray and we'll bake those off so you can see what they look like. But what you would do is at this point, you would freeze them, then you'd bring them out, let them thaw, and then let them rise and then bake them fresh morning of. And I'm kind of thinking that's what I want to do. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move 4 of them off of this tray and onto that tray so that I can freeze them and enjoy them at a later time. And I thought I would share with you, that would be what you would want to do too if you're, prepping ahead for a special event or something. Or just, to have in the freezer to be able to quickly have a crescent roll. Oh, wow, guys. Check these out. Now, I did save 4 from the ones that were from the first time we rolled out with the thicker dough. As you can see, let's see. I think you can see this one right here. Can you see that? It was the thicker. So they did get pretty big, but that is not a bad thing, right? Okay, so the directions that we tossed suggested 12 to 16 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to put them in for 6 minutes, turn them for another 6 minutes, and see how that works out. Because I only have 4 on here, which I'm really glad to know if they get this big. So, and look how pretty. Look how pretty they are. Can you see the grains? Even though we took out all the other. Okay, so I'll put it on the middle row here. Oh, I cannot wait. And you can just put it in the oven normally, but I find in this particular oven, I like to do about half to 3/4 of the cooking time and then turn it around and flip it that way. So that's what I'll do, and I'll bring you back when they're done. Oh, cannot wait. Okay. Just smelling very good. Smelling so very, very good. Okay. Oh, whoa. Well, one of them has a mind of its own. Okay, time is up. Well, 30 seconds. Oh boy. Oh boy. Don't these look beautiful? Oh, look at that one right there. Perfect. So pretty. This one became a hat. A hat. Ouch. Ouch. Careful. Okay. I'm going to very, very carefully slide them over on there to cool. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. Now, one thing I did not do before I actually baked these that I should have done was to whisk up an egg and put it on there. It would have gave it an even better coating, but how we can fix that. We're going to grab a little bit of butter because butter makes everything better. And we will just put a little bit of butter on top. I like to do this on my breads. Just a little bit of beautiful butter. These two are kind of funkadelic, aren't they? They kind of had a mind of their own. I didn't get those done very well. Well, that's when you know it's really homemade. Just be careful not to press down too hard on it when you do this. Just let the butter kind of melt. And that's it. That is it. There they are. And we did it. We made it through all the trials. We figured out something new. We used our gut. We used our senses. And we made it work. I know it's still warm, but I have to. I have to take a little taste test. Let's look. Let's look at the crumb together. It is fluffy. Look, it is squishy. It is soft. It is very, very good. It is similar to what you get in the store, but better, honestly. It really is. I cannot wait to share this with my family for Thanksgiving. Slather on extra butter. It's going to be amazing. I love the Einkorn taste. I mean, it really is like a whole wheat crescent roll. It is amazing. And it's amazing how fluffy and squishy this was. So I definitely want to roll it out thinner, but this turned out really, really good. Guys, I hope you try it. Even though we had a few hiccups along the road, give this a try. I'm so excited that you were with me the first time I put together crescent rolls and the first time I worked with einkorn grains. So this was a very exciting video, and I'm just so glad you were here. And don't forget, it is the last video before the big giveaway that'll come out. When this video comes out, it will be tomorrow. So make sure that you are here and you tell all your friends. And I will see you then, my friends. Bye for now.